America. Bonjour. Hi, Canada. It's Hugh Hewitt, joined by United States Senator Ted Cruz. Good morning, Senator. How goes everyone in the Cruz family?
Hugh, good morning. We're doing terrific, and we're all doing great. How are you doing?
Good. Everyone is fine. I don't want to bury my lead, Senator. You're on the Judiciary Committee, right?
Yes.
You're doing the federal circuit court judges first. I approve of that wholeheartedly. But can I do some special pleading for California? We've got judges like Mark Scarsi, who's had a hearing and no vote, Rick Richmond, who's in the queue for hearing. There are people in the White House clearance process like John Flynn who can't even get out because Senators Harris and Feinstein won't bless them. Can you get Lindsey to move some judges? Because it's a miscarriage of justice in California. There just aren't any judges.
Yeah, look, I believe you. Obviously, the Ninth Circuit has improved significantly, and we've moved through a number of Ninth Circuit judges. The priority, understandably, has been Court of Appeals judges first, although we've moved a lot of district judges as well. I can tell you from multiple conversations with Mitch McConnell that his commitment, and certainly my commitment, is that we are going to move through and confirm every judge that is teed up this year, that we're not going to leave. Mitch has said to me flat out, we're not leaving until the deck is cleared. And so now I can't help you with judges that are still in clearance and haven't been nominated by the White House. But once they're nominated, assuming there are not substantive problems that prevent them from getting the votes, our intention is to do what it takes to move them through and finish the confirmation process.
Well, there are people like Scarsi and Richmond and many others who've already gotten out of the White House, but it just seems to me like the Republicans may not care about California very much. But, a lot of terrible decisions start at the district court level in California. That if you fix a district court in California, you've saved ourselves a lot of legal problems, right?
Sure, absolutely. And as you know, I mean, the Ninth Circuit is almost 50-50 now.
Yep.
Now, that doesn't mean in any given case that you're going to get a good panel. For the folks listening, the way it works on a court of appeals is you'll have a whole bunch of judges on the court of appeals, and you randomly draw three of them. But if it's close to 50-50 in any given case, your chances of landing at least one judge who's willing to follow the law and ideally two judges who are willing to follow the law, those chances have increased dramatically. I remember I argued cases a decade ago in the Ninth Circuit, and it was if you were representing a defendant who was getting sued, sadly you told your client you're just paying. It doesn't matter what the law says. It doesn't matter what the facts are. You just got to pay whatever check they demand of you. And it was it has been a lawless court for a long time. I think we've made at least some real progress turning that around, but it's going to take longer to finish that process.
Senator Cruz, the last time I argued before the Ninth Circuit was in 2013, I think. I won with a Reinhart-led panel, but there was not. I had to retire, actually, before you even had a chance of drawing an en banc panel that could have a majority Republican. It's possible now that you could win on en banc, and that actually encourages settlement at the lower level. But, boy, these district courts, I hope you can take Lindsey aside. Lindsey won't talk to me. He won't get up early enough.
Hugh, do your listeners know what you just said, that's kind of like saying, the last time I batted the major league, Cy Young was pitching, and I hit a home run off him and figured that was a good way to end my career. Like the name you casually tossed out there, Stephen Reinhart, was for decades the most renowned hardcore liberal on the Ninth Circuit. Very smart, used to work for the ACLU, and utterly lawless. I mean, hard left. And if anyone embodied the lawlessness of the Ninth Circuit, it was Stephen Reinhart. The year I clerked at the Supreme Court, which would have been 1996 to 1997, there was a joke at the time that there was a macro. Now, this shows the time. I bet you half your listeners have no idea what a macro is. But on a computer, a macro used to be that you could hold down a couple of buttons and it would automatically type some things for you that you had pre-programmed.
Yeah.
And there was a joke that there was a macro Alt-9, which is if you were a clerk working on an opinion draft, you'd hit Alt-9, and it would pre-populate the opinion with, the decision below came from the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. Accordingly, we reversed unanimously.
Well, on that panel, I had.
Yeah, go ahead.
On that panel, I had Judge Bybee and Judge Hugg. So I had one of the better judges with Judge Bybee pulling on Reinhart to bring him over to reason. So a 3-0 win with Reinhart is still a 3-0 win with Reinhart. But you get my point, Senator.
And very, very quickly, there was a phrase Reinhart is alleged to have said. I don't know if it's true, but he is alleged to have said about the Supreme Court, well, they can't catch them all. In other words, he was going to keep making the decisions hard left, and some of them would get through. And I will tell you, law clerks for years made a point of reminding Justice Kennedy, he said that. Justice Kennedy came from the Ninth Circuit, and it would piss him off. And I have to say, that whether he said it or not, that he was alleged to have said it, resulted in a lot more cases coming from the Ninth Circuit and getting reversed.
Good. Now, I got to ask you more broadly than the Judiciary Committee, Senator.
Yeah.
I just had Vice President Pence interview play, and I asked him point blank, are we in Cold War 2.0? And we had a 4-second pause. An 8-second pause means all the stations along the network, all 400 affiliates, go to something else. They think you failed. So I was pretty close to pulling the parachute there. 4-second pause. He didn't want to say it. He didn't say it. Will you say it? Are we in Cold War 2.0?
I don't know about Cold War 2.0, but we're in an existential battle. Whether it will last 70 years, I certainly hope not, and I doubt it will. But we are facing two simultaneous national crises, the likes of which you and I have never seen in our lifetime. We're facing, number one, a public health crisis, the coronavirus pandemic. And that is substantial. It has produced over 257,000 fatalities worldwide. It is serious. We're taking extraordinary steps to flatten the curve, to slow the rates of transmission. And then we're simultaneously facing an economic catastrophe, a crisis. Over 30 million people, 30 million Americans have lost their jobs in the last 60 days. 30 million, the U.S. workforce between 160 and 165 million people, that's roughly 20% of the entire American workforce is out of work. Millions of small businesses are perilously close to going bankrupt. And it is a confluence. And the result, all of that is the result of government policies we put in place to try to defeat the pandemic. Every waking moment of my time is focused on defeating both of those crises. Now, I don't think we're going to look like the Cold War. I don't expect 10 years from now for us to still be talking about how do we defeat the coronavirus. But we may be talking about that. I hope not, but we may be talking about that a year from now. I hope we move faster than that in terms of developing an effective vaccine and a fully implemented testing regimen and an effective treatment. But we've got to defeat both, and then turning the economy around may be a several-year proposition.
Now, Senator Cruz, your answer to this, my last question, might carry us into the break. If so, I will play it on the other side of the break. The Leader McConnell, has said we've got to have liability protection in phase 4. I understand that businesses cannot stand up with a plaintiff's bar ready to pick over their bones, those of those who can walk after this thing is over. And I have therefore thought they ought to preempt all the state tort law, put all COVID claims in one district of the district courts of the United States, and establish a reckless indifference standard, because otherwise everyone will get sued for everything. You're going to be vital on this in judiciary. What is your recommendation about liability protection for American businesses, higher ed, everybody? We can't put ourselves. We just can't lay down in front of the plaintiff's bar and get picked over this way.
Look, there is no doubt that if we do nothing, there will be an onslaught, a tidal wave of lawsuits going after every small business in America for opening up and risking COVID-19. That's not an acceptable course of action. You can fully expect the Democrats, their priority throughout this crisis has been political. Take care of their partisan wish list. part of their political wish list is protect the trial lawyers, because the trial lawyers and the teachers unions are the two principal funders of today's Democratic Party. And so I fully expect that Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi will go to the barricades to protect the ability of the trial lawyers to sue everyone and try to extract billions from the system. I don't know how that will shake out. I got to tell you, from my perspective, my priority is we have got to get America back to work. We got to get the economy moving. We've got to give people the opportunity to provide for their families and provide for their livelihoods. We cannot let this country fall into another Great Depression, and there are too many politicians in Washington, including Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats, who are not in Washington because they fled from doing their jobs, who are not focused on getting the economy back to work. We need to keep people safe, follow sound science, follow the medicine, but also get people back to work so that we can harness the power of the American free enterprise system to bring this economy back with the same roaring force we had 3 months ago and the same prosperity we did. We can do it again, and that's what we're going to do.
So, Senator, is that a must-have? No, Phase 4, unless it preempts tort claims and establishes one standard that protects businesses?
I think it is a very important principle. It's not clear to me what is going to be in the next legislative package. I think it is highly fluid. In the Senate, we just got back to D.C. this week. We've all been working from home for the past month. I can tell you our lunch yesterday, we spent about half the lunch talking about exactly this topic. I would say it is fluid. The Democrats are looking to spend another $2 trillion. Their top priority seems to be bailing out big blue states that have massive unfunded pension liabilities, that have lived irresponsibly, that have spent themselves into a hole. It has nothing to do with coronavirus. It has everything to do with irresponsible decisions from state politicians who are trying to buy votes and get themselves elected. And I got to tell you, I, for one, and I think a lot of at least the Republicans in the Senate, see no reason why the rest of the country should be forced to pay higher taxes because those politicians won't live within their means. In Texas, we've lived within our means. We haven't dug a hole of, the Illinois pension fund debt is $241 billion. That's just irresponsible. And I see no reason why the people of Texas should have to pay for that sort of irresponsible spending, particularly when the Illinois politicians don't intend to change. They plan to keep doing it. In fact, they wrote into their state constitution that they can never alter those pension obligations. Well, if they want to keep digging the hole, don't expect the rest of the country to suffer to subsidize their reckless behavior. And
well said, Senator.
That fight is going to be front and center in the next bill.
Well said, and thank you for your time, Senator. Always a pleasure.
Thank you, Hugh.